Hi everyone, it's Marie here. Thanks for joining me today. I am sharing a 12x12 process video with you. This one is for the 1st of the August sketches at Lottie Loves Paper. There's one sketch per week and they always go live on a Thursday, and there are also prizes involved, so you can enter each week on one of the sketches. And then you go into a prize draw to win a voucher for the Lottie Loves Paper shop, which is awesome. So I'm playing along today using the Heidi Swapp Carefree collection, and I don't have any of the ephemera for this collection. I only have papers. I think the papers are absolutely stunning. So I'm going to have to be really creative with how I embellish my page. But I suppose it goes to show you don't have to have everything from a collection in order to make a really, really pretty page. I pull quite a few bits out of my stash here, along with those beautiful papers. So I've used that lovely wood grain paper, one of my favourites. I love a wood grain paper. I love anything in that kind of turquoisey blue colour. So I'm using a stencil there from Peartree Cutfiles, and I'm using some Nuvo Glacier paste to use the stencil. And it's a lovely glittery coloured, sparkly, really easy to use paste. So I'm just popping that in a variety of different places, and it's going to go underneath where my cut file goes. Now you can see, you saw from the sketch, and you can see up in the top corner there, that there was a large partial circle on the bottom right and then a smaller partial circle on the top left. Now I flipped that over simply because the cut file I'm using is shells, and I tried it the other way around and the shells would have ended up upside down and they just didn't look quite right at all. So I've flipped the sketch kind of diagonally, if you like. Now I'm just using some more of the Heidi Swapp papers here, this gorgeous floral. Yes, it is floral and I am using it to back my shells with, but once the shells are backed, what effect it gives is like those sort of lines that you get all over the shells, and it's the right sort of pinky creamy colours that you find shells on the beach as well. So it just all kind of works perfectly. I'm just using a pair of Tim Holtz mini snips to fussy cut around. You can back cut files in a variety of ways. I've decided to put little dots of glue all over the back of mine and then stick it to the paper and then cut it out. You can trace around the inside of the shapes or the outside of the shapes and cut it out that way, but I've decided to go this way today because I just wanted it to be, they were all going to be the same, so it worked better for me to do it that way. I'm now also going to back some separate little shells. This is a separate cut file. I'm just going to back some separate little shells in some more of the papers. So I'm going to use the opposite side to the florals, which is that big dotty paper. I'm also going to back some more of them in the florals, and I'm going to back some in vellum as well. I want to get a variety of colours, a variety of textures, so that the shells can all be kind of poking out from behind the cut file and from behind those photos, and give that variety in colour and shade. Now I'm scrapping a couple of photographs there of my son on the beach on our recent holiday in Scotland. Would you believe it was like we could have been in the Mediterranean? It was absolutely gorgeous weather. It was when we had the really, really hot weather right across the country. Scotland doesn't normally get that, but we had temperatures of like 27, 28 degrees up there, which was amazing, and it was just brilliant on the beach every single day. So I had to scrap some of the photographs of my son, and I actually scrapped this while we were still on holiday, staying in a cottage up there. So I'm just playing around now with the placement of my shells and bits and pieces. I've got a couple of bramble fox seagulls there. They go on every beach layout I do, pretty much. I've got some flip-flops there as well. Now they're not going to go, they don't make it onto the layout in the end. I just decided that they're the wrong shade of colour. They're too dark and they just don't quite work for me. I am playing around with some little felt Peartree pieces though to see if they work. Now I'm going to play with some cheesecloth. I have delved into my mixed media drawer, if you like, for this, and decided to play around with some different textures, because like I say, I don't have the ephemera, so I'm just playing around with what I've got that I can make work with these papers and this beachy feeling layout. So I've got a piece of hessian here that I'm just kind of pulling apart a little bit to try and make it look a little bit less straight and proper. I want it to feel a little bit more rustic, and I'm doing the same sort of thing with the cheesecloths. I'm just putting some tape on the back of the photographs. I haven't matted the photographs at all, I've just left them. So I'm sort of using my cheesecloth and the hessian to be the matting for the photographs. Now I am playing around with the double-sided sticky here. Cheesecloth and Hessian and double-sided sticky are really difficult to get to stick together, but it does work eventually. So that's all going to tuck underneath the top part of those shells there. And then I want to do a similar sort of thing down at the bottom and just have little bits poking out from behind. Just adding, like I said, that extra bit of texture. I don't always do completely textural layouts like this, but every so often I do like to do one with lots of bits and pieces on. So a little bit more cheesecloth here going behind these shells. And I've also got that little signpost there that I'm going to tuck in down the side of the photo. So all sorts of different bits and pieces, just to give it that real beachy textural feel. As you can see, the glimmer paste has dried. It's glacier paste, sorry. The glacier paste has dried now, so it just gives that lovely, the waves kind of poking out from behind the shells and the cut files. I'm also going to use that little Bramble Fox perspective there as my title, amazing. And now adding lots of dimensional foam to the different shells and different pieces to get them to stick down. I have taken to arranging a page and then, just as you can see me doing here, lifting up corners to squeeze in some glue and to squeeze in some paste or some glossy accents like that is there to use that to stick down. Using a variety of different methods to stick things down but without moving anything off the page. What I used to do was make my page, take everything off, and then go to stick it back down again. And inevitably, it never ended up quite in the same place, quite in the same arrangement, and it was really disappointing because to me, I never felt like I got it back the way I really, really wanted it. So this works a lot better just to lift up corners and stick bits and pieces down as you need to. Glossy accents to stick down those two little seagulls there, and the same with the title just on top of the shells. Just take a little bit of time to dry, but not too long. So lots of glue now being stuck on the back of the cut file itself, and I'm just going to put little bits here and there to make sure everything is where I want it and all attached. A great way to check and see if everything is all attached, to pick your layout up and shake it. And if everything falls off, you haven't stuck everything down well enough. So I'm going to put some dimensional foam on the back of the Hessian now, just to give an extra layer, just to give it that real depth. And some extra pieces up the top there. So I buy the foam, I think I just get it from Amazon. I buy the foam that has sticky on one side, and then I add my own sticky to the other side to stick it down onto the page. So I'm just going to put all those bits down now and trim off the edges of the cut file. Adding a few extra little bits of glue just under those edges to make sure that they are all fully attached to the page, and I'm not going to catch any of them as I'm getting it into a page protector. So I'm really pleased with how this is looking so far. Something else I found in my mixed media drawer is this floristry moss. It's not real moss, it's made of plastic and it smells really weird. The smell does dissipate though, don't worry. But it's fabulous stuff. It looks like seaweed. So I'm just tucking little bits of it in here and there around the photographs. Again, just another layer of texture. So absolutely no ephemera on this page whatsoever, just little random bits and pieces that I had at my house. So I'm just tucking those under there, and there we go with all the, get rid of all those bits that have landed out of the bag. Tucking them all in, and that little signpost in there as well, which I love. Now I'm just going to add some bits and pieces of sequins just to give it a little bit of sparkle. I do like a bit of sparkle on a page as well. So I'm just choosing the bluey, greeny shades that are going to work. I don't want to go too dark with any of the darker blues. So I'm just using a variety of sequin mixes that I had in my drawer. And popping those around the layout so it looks like they've been dropped on and they're not too arranged, just nice and random. I do try and put a few gold ones on here, but I think I take a few of those back off. They didn't feel quite right. They felt too gold for this particular layout. I think I leave a couple of them on there, but not many of them. And then I'm just going to use some glossy accents to place them down and make them all stick, make them all stay. happy with how that's looking. I think it's come together beautifully. It's one of those layouts that actually turned out pretty much how I imagined it in my head, which is good. So just sticking down all those little bits and pieces. And then I think the last thing I'm going to do is pop some up, stick down my little signpost with some glossy accents. And I'm just using glossy accents again. I use it a lot as glue to stick down those bits of seaweedy looking moss, just to make sure that they stay. Using some Nuvo drops to decorate my starfish, just the starfish. I didn't want to go overboard. And now I'm using some Liquitex. Oh no, I'm putting some more Nuvo drops, just teeny tiny little blue ones. And then I'm going to use some Liquitex acrylic ink, and I'm going to do some splatters all over the page, just in white, to give that sense of waves being splashed around. Even though there were barely any waves, it was so calm. And there's some close-ups for you. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. I hope this layout has inspired you to try creating, maybe when you've not got an entire collection, when dragging things out of your drawers, see what you've got and have a play around with, because the results can be fabulous. I'm so pleased with this. I love how it's turned out. Hope you liked it too. Thank you ever so much for joining me, and head over to the Lottie Loves Paper Facebook group to join in with the sketch challenges. Bye for now.